Welcome to our top strength weapons in Elden Ring video guide, and we have listed some of the best strength weapons you need to try in the game. Some of the weapons we listed here do require a little bit of faith and dexterity, so make sure you level up both of these character attributes to at least level 20. That being said, since you are equipping some of the heaviest strength weapon with this playstyle, then power stancing is the only best way you should go with. Equipping the Raptor's Black Feathers chest piece strengthens your jump attack significantly, and you must have this item equipped with you if you like to do jump attacks while power stancing strength weapons. Other than that, the Claw Talisman is by far the best talisman to buff jump attacks of melee weapons. In any case, you can see our talisman preferences and stats that we currently use to power stance some of the best strength weapons in the game. Now that you've got a basic idea regarding how to best use strength weapons, let's jump right into top strength weapons we think you should try in Elden Ring. Giant Crusher is a colossal weapon in Elden Ring. The weapon scales primarily with strength and is a good weapon for dealing great physical damage, but this heavy weapon also requires great strength to wield. The Giant Crusher requires 60 strength level to wield the weapon properly in the game. The Brick Hammer is another amazing strength weapon that deals tons of physical damage. This weapon requires 31 strength to wield and can be found in the wine cellar that becomes accessible after using the Rusty Key. By using its skill, strong attacks change to savage combo attacks and deal enormous damage. Equipping Roar Medallion increases heavy attack damage by 15% during the buff, and you will be able to do even greater physical damage using Brick Hammer. Giant Club is the next weapon in our best strength weapons list. You will need to have at least 35 strength to wield Giant Club in Elden Ring. Players can find this weapon by defeating the Stone Digger Troll boss located in an old Altus tunnel underground cave. Using the skill allows the character to thrust armament into the ground, then gather strength to unleash a blast of sacred energy. The skill attached to this weapon has a unique ability that unleashes a blast of energy and releases them as golden darts. The weapon has C strength scaling, and it gets better as soon as you upgrade the weapon to max level in Elden Ring. GHIZA'S wheel is another amazing colossal strength weapon you should try. This weapon takes inspiration from Bloodborne as From Software featured it first back then. In order to acquire this unique strength weapon in Elden Ring, you must first reach Volcano Manor. Once you're there, go to Dining Hall and you will be invaded by Inquisitor GHIZA. Killing the invader will drop the weapon. To wield the weapon, you must at least have 28 strength and 18 dexterity. GHIZA'S wheel comes with spinning wheel weapon skill, which basically allows you spin the wheel until you run out of FP. You can deal enormous amount of damage as long as the wheel rotates. Golden Halberd is another excellent weapon in Elden Ring that scales primarily with strength, faith and dexterity. This is not a pure strength weapon, and if you don't mind investing little into faith and dexterity character attributes, then you'd be able to use Golden Halberd to deal physical plus holy damage on enemies. Golden Halberd requires 30 strength, 14 dexterity and 12 faith levels to wield properly. ORDOVIS'S Greatsword is the next best strength weapon, and this again will require you to have leveled up dexterity and faith a little besides strength. You will need at least 25 strength, 13 dexterity and 15 faith to wield this greatsword properly. The star of the show of this greatsword is ORDOVIS'S Vortex, the default Ash of War of ORDOVIS'S Greatsword. The greatsword slams into foes with the swirling might of a crucible vortex. If you charge this attack you can deal more damage, and if you equip Alexander's Shard Talisman, you can deal even more damage. Grafted Blade Greatsword is a colossal sword and an amazing strength weapon in Elden Ring. Players can acquire this weapon very early in the game by defeating Leonine Misbegotten boss in Castle Morn at the Weeping Peninsula. You will need to have at least 40 strength and 14 dexterity to wield this colossal weapon properly. MAGMA WYRM'S Scale Sword is another amazing strength weapon that falls under curved greatsword category in Elden Ring. This again is not a pure strength weapon, however if you have leveled up dexterity to 15 and faith at 18 then wielding this weapon should not be a problem for you. The best part of this weapon is its weapon skill called MAGMA WYRM'S Scale Sword. Your character will hold the weapon in both hands and leap like YRM to spew magma while landing, dealing massive amount of physical and AoE fire damage to multiple targets. Rusted Anchor is another amazing strength weapon which is basically a great axe and it scales primarily with strength and dexterity. To get the most out of this weapon in Elden Ring, you will need to have at least 26 strength and 9 dexterity. Players can obtain this weapon by defeating the scaly misbegotten boss in Morn Tunnel. The weapon comes with default skill Barbaric Roar, which is same as you saw on the Brick Hammer weapon. The next best strength weapon in our list is GARGOYLE'S BLACKBLADE. This is great sword that scales primarily with faith, strength and dexterity. You will need to have at least 22 faith, 18 strength and 10 dexterity to wield GARGOYLE'S BLACKBLADE. This weapon is better suited for players who are running with a faith build or paladin build in Elden Ring. The weapon drops from the Blackblade Kindred, who stands in front of the Sanctum in Caelid. If you've played Dark Souls games then you'd not need much introduction about ZWEIHANDER. This is a colossal sword in Elden Ring that scales primarily with strength and dexterity and is a good weapon for heavyweight combat. The weapon can be bought in early game from isolated merchant located at the far end of Weeping Peninsula. You will need at least 19 strength and 11 dexterity to wield the weapon properly. The weapon art is best when it comes to knocking enemies into air easily. Similar to previous weapon in our list, the Greatsword is another returning weapon that most Dark Souls players would be familiar with. This colossal sword scales primarily with strength and is a good weapon for cleaving many foes at once with its wide swings. Players will need at least 31 strength and 12 dexterity to wield the weapon properly, and the weapon can be found inside an abandoned carriage guarded by dogs in Caelid. PRELATE'S Inferno CROZIER is the next best strength weapon that falls under colossal weapon category in Elden Ring. It scales primarily with strength and dexterity and is a good weapon for strong melee attacks that will fling enemies into the air. This is one of the best weapons and it comes to power stancing and we use it a lot along with Dragon GREATCLAW. You will need at least 45 strength and 8 dexterity to wield this amazing strength weapon. The weapon skills allows you to slam armament into the ground to create a surge of flames. Dragon GREATCLAW is another amazing strength weapon that comes under colossal weapon. It scales primarily with strength and dexterity and is a good weapon for going against dragon-like creatures and enemies. In addition to general physical damage, what makes this weapon great is that it does lightning damage which can be especially effective towards specific enemy types. You will need to have at least 30 strength and 14 dexterity to wield it properly in Elden Ring. If you fancy curved greatswords in Elden Ring then you got to try BLOODHOUN'S FANG. The weapon scales primarily with strength and dexterity, and is a good weapon to perform brutal melee attacks against enemies and immediately take distance from them. Lastly, we recommend trying Sword of MILOS Greatsword in Elden Ring as it scales primarily with strength and dexterity. This weapon can be used best for casters because of its ability to restore FP. Using the weapon's skill reduces all damage negation and status resistances for nearby foes, and strong attacks change to a combo attack. The weapon is dropped by killing Dung Eater regardless of him invading you or you killing him in subterranean shunning grounds. This wraps up our best 16 strength weapons in Elden Ring video. We'll continue to make more videos, and if you like this one then please subscribe and share our channel for more awesome content.